Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Deja. If you're not new here, welcome to today's video. We are going to be discussing my 5-star reads I've read this year and my 1-star and DNF reads I've had this year so far. So let's hop right in. We're going to start off with my Kindle reads, the one that I don't physically have here to show you guys, and this is in no specific order. We are going to start off with my 5-star reads because, you know, let's start with the good stuff before we get to the not so great stuff. So again, this is in no specific order, but the first book I want to mention is book 3 in the Heartstopper series. And overall, I have to mention that all the books I gave 4 stars, but this specific one was a 5-star for me just because I feel like the romance kind of developed more. They got to figure things out and kind of find peace. They also, I feel like, dove deeper into like the sensitive topics that we're talking about in this series as he deals with like his body image, and even the sister who has her own story got shown a little bit more. So this was like a 5-star for me. The rest, again, were all 4 stars and I love them all so much, but this one was just like, was the total package for me. My next 5-star read I'm going to mention is Where's Molly by H.D. Carlton, and I don't feel like I need to say a lot because if you're a dark romance reader and you've read Haunting Adeline and it's just like if you know type of situation. I don't want to like talk too much about it because I don't want to spoil anything, but Molly is a character that gets introduced in Hunting Adeline, which is the second book in the Cat Mouse duet by H.D. Carlton. And what can I say without spoiling it? So she gets introduced, she Adeline, which is the main character in the duet, finds these letters that were Molly's letters and talks about her time in the place that Adeline finds herself in the second book. So Molly just gets to share her story. It talks about all the things that she went through, how she overcame it, and she kind of just gets her own happy ending. It's a short, quick read if you've read the duet. If you love it, I feel like if you don't, you might not enjoy this because it's along the same lines of that series. But for me, I love the series. It's one of my top favorite dark romance reads ever. So Where's Molly was just icing on the cake, especially the extended like bonus, the second epilogue or whatever it was. Loved it so much. 5 stars. It made me so happy to be back in that world finally. So 5 stars. Then we have the Hawthorne Games, is the second book in the Inheritance Games series. This one for me was a 5-star hardcore. I feel like my jaw was on the floor the whole time. This series is about a girl named Avery. She gets tied into this family and gets an inheritance from a man she doesn't even know. She's never met him before, and the whole family is trying to figure out why she was selected to get this inheritance. And the grandfather was very big on riddles and games and puzzles, so they are just trying to figure out why by solving all these riddles and puzzles, and along the way they just open a whole bunch of can of worms. So that's pretty much all I'm gonna say about it because you have to go read the series. It's such a quick and easy read. It's fun. This one in particular, I feel like there were so many answers that like you get to know and finally like resolve from book 1, because book 1 just leaves you with so many questions. So book 2 definitely gives you a lot of answers. I feel like the romance kind of picks up in this book. It is a subplot in the series. It's not like a big thing in the book, but if you know, you know. If you're Team Grayson or Team Jameson, you already know. So this one for me was 5-star. I just actually finished reading the 3rd book and that one was really, really good too, but it didn't quite beat this one. So I got a 4-star, but this one remained on top at a 5-star. Now onto my physical copies. I have recently read this one and was debating for the longest if it was a 4-star or a 5-star, but I cannot stop thinking about this book. I want to keep reading it. I want to jump right into the second one. I haven't yet, and I'm punching myself in the brain for it because I love it so much. And that is Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. Yeah, I don't want to give away too much in this series, but it starts off as DM is a mortal in the mortal world, I guess. I mean, they live together. I feel like it's like different cities. There's descendants and then there's mortals, and descendants have magic. And she is a healer in the mortal world city, and yeah, her mother goes missing and she tries to figure out what happened to her mother, and she just won't stop until she gets some answers. And along the way, she's unraveling and figuring out and learning a lot of things about her family and herself. And the slow burn, if you guys know, I do not like slow burn, but this slow burn, I love a slow burn with angst and like tidbits of like good stuff, and this gave the good stuff. So this, on my Goodreads, I have 4 stars, and I'm gonna go change it because as I was collecting books to figure out which ones I felt 5-star, I'm like, this has to go up there because I have not stopped thinking about this book at all. Like, I wanted to start book 2. The only thing that's keeping me is just that it's so long and so many pages, and I'm like, I can read another book before this to get done before I hop into this again. But this right here is gems. I'm loving this series. I want to keep going for sure. Next we have Zodiac Academy, and this is book 3 in the Zodiac Academy. I am still trying to knock down this series. It's a big series, if you know. I think there's the 9th book is coming out in a few weeks, I believe. And this is book 3, The Reckoning. I loved this book. I'm sure I'm gonna love so many more of these books. I've given all of them 4 stars, but this one was just something else. The 2 main characters are twin sisters, Tori and Darcy, and they are in the world of Celeria. They are finding out that their parents were like the king and queens of Celeria, and they are just trying to simply make it past the reckoning to earn their inheritance, which is all they care about. They don't want the throne, they don't want to take over, they don't want to be rulers. But then there's the group of heirs that are hell-bent on giving them such a hard time and fighting them. And this is a bully romance, so there's a lot of bullying going on. But for me, again, I'm a dark romance girly, so that doesn't really bother me, but a lot of people cannot stand it. So if it's not your cup of tea, I totally understand. But for me, this was it, because this is the reckoning. So this was like the big event we're all waiting for to find out if they get their inheritance or not. So it was just all tied together. The romance, I love the love triangles happening. I love the relationships, the friendships, everything about this world. This is another one that I don't stop thinking about. Me and my book bestie read this together, and we're both like, are we gonna read this again? Like, when are we gonna read Zodiac Academy again? Is this gonna be our next read? And the only thing, I feel like the books just keep getting bigger and bigger, so we just keep putting it off. But we both are loving this series so much, and I can't wait to continue to keep reading this. Next we have I just recently found out it's not a manga. It's called The Isekai, and it is Villains Are Destined to Die. And guys, I feel like this is so different, but one, I just love, like, I love showing people the art in this book because it's just so beautiful. I love it so much. I gave this a 5-star. Honestly, I just finished the second one, and that one was also a 5-star to me, so I feel like this whole series is gonna be like 5 stars for me. If not, maybe like one of them might get a 4-star. But I'm eating this series up. They obviously are super thin. It's very quick. They only have about 160 pages, and again, it's like a manga, so they're quick and easy to get through. I usually read these in 2 nights, 3 nights maybe. But I just love where this story is going. Again, I just finished book 2, and I am itching to get into book 3 because each of them leave off not a cliffhanger, but it's like a glimpse of like the next potential romance, because she does. So the whole gist of it is that there is a video game. She gets sucked in, she falls asleep playing the video game, and she wakes up inside of the video game, and she is playing as the villain. And she's in the story of the villain, she dies every time in the game, so she's trying to not die. And in making all that happen, there's like 5 different love interests in the game. And so as like, and they all hate her, which is the crazy part. So her job is to like get them to like her, which is really hard being that she's the villain. So I just definitely, and I want to say enemies to lovers, but it's not, so not all of them are enemies to lovers. Some of them are just like, I just can't stand you and I don't like you lovers to lovers. So again, there's just so much happening. There's like just the plot line, and then also the love interest, and then all the different love interests are just completely different. I just, again, I don't really know how to explain it because this is my first time reading something like this, and I got this recommendation from Mel Reads, and I'm happy I did. I'm happy I did it. I love this. This is the only physical one I own. I read the second one on my Kindle, but I know I want to own this whole series physically because I just am eating them up each and every time. Next, I feel like I don't even have to explain Magnolia Parks book 1. That's it. That's like all I have to say, right? Because like if you read this, I'm pretty sure you gave it a 5-star. I feel like there's a section of people who don't like the writing and just can't do it, so I get that because I did struggle. But once you are invested in this story and Magnolia and BJ, there's just no going back. There's no out because you're invested, and we need to know why. And when we find out why, your heart is forever broken. So that's all I'm going to say about that, because I feel like that's all that needs to be said about this, right? I'm glad we're all on the same page for that. So my next one, I feel like I can rave about this all day, is Gothicana by Runix. I made a whole video reading this book, and I explained why I love it so much, why I relate to this book so much, and why it was just such a, not personal read for me, but just something I related to, something I felt so immersed in, because she is going to a school that is said to be haunted by people that have gone missing there over the years, and it's like she's living with roommates. It's a college that she's attending to, I don't really remember why, but you can get like your bachelor's and you get, it's a college, but she's just always been casted out because her mother, I think, was like said to be a witch. So her whole town always just casted her out. So she was always homeschooled, and she never felt she was going to have that opportunity until she randomly received a letter inviting her to come to the school. Yeah, there's I think it's student to, you know, teacher student type of vibe, but he's also like not that much older than her, so it's not like age gappy weird, but it's just dark gothic vibes. Love it so much. I went to a school that was very much like the school of Varenmore, so it was just super relatable for me. I felt super immersed reading this because I'm picturing my school as I'm picturing her walking through the hallways of her school as she describes it. So for me, I just really loved it. I loved the betrayal. I loved the mystery aspect throughout the whole entire book, trying to find out why these people went missing. And each year on like the night of their dance thing they have, somebody goes missing, so they're trying to make sure no one goes missing on the night of their dance, and of course somebody does, and a lot of stuff goes down, and I just really enjoyed it. I didn't see the plot twist coming, and I annotated this bad boy so much. I loved it a lot, and I can keep going, so I'm just gonna end it right there. And my last book for my 5 stars is Queen of Shadow, and I feel like this one is a lot of people's favorite in the series. I can't really say much about why, because it's like, again, this is I think the third or fourth book in the series, so I don't really want to say much, but this one just had like all the emotions. I was angry, I was sad, I was hurt, I was on my toes with all the action. It was just super good. I really love the series. I am currently reading the tandem read so I can try to finish this series because whew, it's a long one. But yeah, this one was my favorite. I can't really say much because, you know, there will be a lot of spoilers, because, you know, you got to read the first couple other ones that are there. So This is my other 5-star read, and I think my last one for this year so far. Now on to my 1-star reads, which is only one book, because I feel like I ranted about this in one of my videos. Unpopular opinion, don't come for me, because a lot of people love this book. A lot of people cried to this book. I was hoping to cry to this book, and it didn't give for me. If he had been with me, this was my first. I don't think I've ever rated a book 1 star. I literally will be generous and give it a 2 star. Sometimes I'm even very generous and give it a 3 star, because Bride almost made it onto this category, but I was generous and gave it a 3 star because there were aspects that I liked. This, on the other hand, was torture. I don't understand. I mean, hear me out. I can't understand why people like it, but I think for my age group, it was just so boring. It was just 4 years of high school of literally like nothing happening until like the last 5 chapters, and then the ending. Like, for me, I don't like a book where you know that the person is no longer with us, because that kind of gives, you know, if we would have went in not knowing that, that would take away from, I mean, that would give us more of an experience of like being emotionally attached to these characters, but we already know what's gonna happen, so now we're just on standby for it, right? And I just don't like that, because I'm like, let's get to the good parts where it happens. Like, give me tragedy, give me pain. Didn't come. So it wasn't until like the last couple chapters where our main female character and the love interest, who is no longer with us, finally figure things out and like spend time together, and then that's it. That's the end of the book, because then he's no longer with us. That's that. So that's why it got a 1 star, because I read 4 years of high school for one night. That's that. Moving on to our DNFs. I actually recently DNF'd 3 books. I don't know if I'm hitting a book slump or what, but me and the Discord girlies, and also me and my book bestie, are like, what the F is happening? Because I don't normally DNF books. I am a FOMO person, and I feel like I need to finish and push through just so I can like make sure that maybe I don't miss something and it gets better, but that did not happen. So my first one is Expiration Dates. This book helped me come to terms with I'm just not a romance girly, and I think that's why right now I'm very much in a fantasy thriller era, and I don't even want dark romance. I don't want anything. Fantasy romance is different, but anything romance, I just don't want nothing to do with it. This was super boring, and that's all I'm gonna say about it. I DNF'd it a little less than halfway through. I think at like 40%. I was just like, I'm good, I'm cool off of it. I buddy read this with one of the girls in my Discord group, and I was like, girl, tell me what happens, because I don't even want to bother. Then I have 2 that I recently DNF'd literally like this week, and both of them also were with the Discord girls and my book bestie. The first one was The Midnight Throne by Adriana Christian. And me and 2 of the Discord girlies decided to buddy read this together, and it was just like a mutual agreement that the writing was just not, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was, again, this was like an arc I got. It is already published on Kindle, and you can get it on Kindle Unlimited. But the writing just wasn't it for me, and even the other girls were like, am I the only one that the writing is bothering us? So we decided to DNF it. I don't even know. We just did not even bother to push through. So I don't have much to say about that. I didn't really get far. I read a couple chapters, I think to chapter 4, and the writing was just not it. I think this was her first book she's written, so it's just kind of hard when I've read so many fantasy books and like the writing here was just very not up to par with other fantasy books I've read. So yeah, I do want to try to give it another chance because the premise of the book and all the tropes and, you know, all the vibes of the book sound really, really fun. But yeah, we just couldn't push through. So we just ended up DNFing it. And for my last DNF that I literally DNF'd this week as well was The Groomer by John Athen. And I know this book is a creepy book. And I've seen a lot of people read it and they're like, how could someone even write something like this? But I was in a mood for creepy, okay? I just didn't know the extent of creepy this was, or what kind of creepy. I just thought it was like thrillery, but like also creepy. I can do creepy. I don't have many trigger warnings. Not a lot of things bother me. So me and the Discord girlies decided to buddy read this one right after we DNF'd The Midnight Throne. And I also had my book bestie reading this with me as well. And literally it was so funny because we all decided to DNF it at the same chapter. It was just... Okay, so I don't... It's so hard because I have kids. So it's weird to say it doesn't bother me. It does bother me, but in my head, I'm like... It's just a book. Like, I can get past things because I know it's just a book. Just like a movie. I can, like... It is what it is. But this was very extra. If you've read this, literally it's so funny because my book bestie doesn't even, we don't even have the same communication with the Discord girlies, and the Discord girlies and my book bestie, it's like we were all reading it the same day, obviously because we're buddy reading it, but literally it was the same one scene for all of us that were like, this is a no. Like, no. And if you've read it, all I'm gonna say was, I think it's chapter 4 maybe, and it's the dart scene. No thank you. I was just like, I can't. My ears were ringing and I'm just like, I can't do this. And that was only chapter 4, so I know it was gonna get worse, and I'm like, I don't want to know. Like, leave the babies alone. That's all I'm gonna say. So that was a DNF for all of us. So that was all the books. I feel like I should have probably started with that and ended with the happier books because I got the ick all over again. So with that being said, those were all my 5-star, 1-star, and DNFs I've had this year so far. Hopefully I don't get many more 1-star and DNFs and many more 5-star reads. That would be awesome. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have read any of these books and have opposite thoughts or different reviews or agree with what I rated these books, please leave them in the comments below. I would love to chat with you guys about it. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I really would love to keep growing our channel and keep growing our community and creating more content for you guys. So I will see you guys in my next video. Until next time, bye.